For this project, we're going to be creating this counter app. We did have some similar functionality in the React for Beginners part of the course, but still this will recap everything, and there's more here. So I can click here to go up to 5. If I go to 5, I get here limit reached, the buttons get disabled. I can reset the app. Also, if I go down, 0 is the minimum, and I can also hit spacebar to increment. Okay, and this is a great beginner's app. You will refresh your knowledge and learn a lot. So let's get to it. Once again, I'm going to create a new folder here in my React course folder. So Ctrl+Shift+N on Windows and call this counter. Get into it, right click, git bash here, and code 0 to open this in VS Code. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna Ctrl+J here to open up the terminal and say npm create vite and dot, so that it gets created in this folder. Choose React and JavaScript. Okay, npm I as well to install dependencies. Okay, let's also run this and then clean it up a bit. Control-click that, and here it is. Okay, so let's see here in source, get rid of assets and this app CSS. In app.jsx, let's just get rid of everything and RFC. That's the fastest way. And in main, let's see, this is good. Index, get rid of everything. Save that to format. I had something weird here, some commas. And let's see, okay, good. Let me just open up my console here. And I'm gonna initialize the repository, so go here, initialize, and this one will be 01 initial. Okay. Now I want to add bootstrap, but instead of using CDN links, I'm actually gonna go to this Bootswatch website. Okay, and this is free themes for Bootstrap. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna go down here to this Quartz, and I'm just gonna download the Bootstrap file. Here it is, open it up, select everything, and I'm just gonna paste everything actually in index CSS here, okay? Because I don't really need the bootstrap.js file. Okay, that should have done it hopefully. Let me close this, and let me just here in index change the title to counter while I'm here. And now in app, let's create the basic skeleton basically of the application. So this will be a container with a row with call, let's say call -6, mxauto to center it, and mt3 for some top margin. Then I'll have a div card in here with div card body, so I'm just gonna actually tab. And let me tab again just to get a closing div, and I'll get rid of these. This will be an h4 with card title and text center and say counter, actually all capitalized like so, and then shift all down to copy. This will be an h6 and card subtitle text muted, and text center is fine, and I'll say 5 is the limit. Okay, save to format. Now let's have an h1 with text center and 0, And I want this to be pretty big, so I'm gonna give it an inline style here. So I'm gonna say style and font size, and let's say 150. Okay, now let's see what we have actually so far. So we have this, guys. Okay, looking pretty good. And there's a lot of HTML here now. There will be more, but we're gonna separate this out into components. But for now, let's just have everything on screen so that we know what we need. Now I'm gonna have a div with a class of text center and button btn danger and reset. Let's see. Okay. And then I'm gonna have a div with the class of dflex and a couple of buttons in here again. So button, let's see, primary, let it be, we'll see. Let me just tap to get as much as I can in here. So this one will say minus. And I'm also going to say here W50, so with 50% is just a bootstrap class. MP3 for some padding. And M1 for some margin. And again, I want to have it bigger, so style and font size. Again, let me just save so it gets formatted. 50 is fine, I believe. And let me actually just shift all down this because I'm gonna use the same classes so I don't have to rewrite it again. The only difference I believe is that there should be plus. Let's see, and there we go. Let me just refresh here so there are no errors, and this looks pretty good to me. Let's now separate this thing out into components. So I'm just gonna right click close to the right first of all, so I clean this up a bit. And now let's see, I'm gonna leave these divs in the app, and then the rest I'm gonna separate out into components. So first of all, this div card, let's create a new component called card RFC, get rid of that. And this one will have children. Okay, so children, and let's see here. So we have this div card and then div card body. Okay, so this will be class name card, and get rid of this one, and this will be div class, actually div and class name card body, and then children here. Save to format. And instead of quick fixing this like we used to, let's actually just disable those prop types. So to do that, I'm gonna go to my ESLint file here, and in rules, okay, I'm gonna tab for this one, so React prop types off. Okay, and now hopefully, there we go, we don't get that warning anymore. Okay, great, let's move on. Let's grab these and put them in their own component. So I'm gonna right click, create a new component called title, and let's see, so it's this, copy, actually let me cut and paste RFC first of all, and I don't want to have this div here, so I'm gonna have this empty element and then paste the titles. Get rid of this one. Okay, so just this fragment here as a wrapper, and close this. Let's move on. Next is this counter, so cut that and create the counter component RFC and just paste that here. So this is just the h1. Get rid of this. Let's see, next is the reset button. So grab this, cut it, create a new component, reset button, I'll call it JSX RFC, and paste that here, get rid of this one, save to format, and there we go. Okay, and now we have this div with these buttons. So we can have the whole thing in one component, but let's have this as the parent component and then these as children, just so we see again some more how that works. So I'm gonna create a component called button container JSX RFC, and this will just have that class name of dflex, and this will be the children. So let me say children here, and whoops, here as well. Get rid of this one. Okay, so that's let's see this div. Okay, and now for the actual buttons, I'm gonna cut them and say count buttons here for the name RFC, and again just have that fragment here and paste the buttons, save to format, get rid of this one, and that should hopefully do it for everything. Let's get rid of this now, and this and this and this. Okay, and now we can include our components. So first of all, I'm gonna have the card component, and I'm gonna close it like this because it's a parent component, right? It has children. And here I'm gonna have the title, so just tab, and then I'm gonna have the counter, and then the reset button, and then the button container, which will close like this as well because it has children too, and this will become buttons. So let's just control space to import what we need, and now we should get the exact same thing but with components. Okay, looking good. So this is fine, but we can make this cleaner by having these in the card component itself and not as children. So let's actually modify it to be like that. Not much difference, but I just want to show you both ways. So if I go to card now, I'm not gonna have children here actually. So get rid of this. What I will have is all of these. So cut and paste, and let me just cut these from here and just paste them up here. Okay, and now in here I can just close card like so, and still we get the same thing. Okay, let's now have that counter value as a prop. Okay, so I'm gonna close the app, don't need it, and here in card I'm gonna say const and the count, set count use state 0, and import this, and I'm gonna pass that count to counter here. Okay, like so. So now if we go to counter, control click, I can receive that here. So what was it, count, and display it here like so, right? That's good. And I also want to be able to use these buttons to manipulate that count. So I'm gonna pass set count to count buttons, and also this component is redundant. Okay, it just holds the buttons, so I'm actually gonna remove it. I'm gonna let me just copy this, and I just wanted to use children as well just to show you, but now that we saw it, let me get rid of that and just close that here. Okay, and here in card I can get rid of that component and get rid of it here as well, so button container. Just delete it, and from here as well. Okay, let's just say so, refresh, and this all looks the same still, so it's all good. And now we're passing this set count to count buttons. So in count buttons, I am going to say set count here. So that's the prop I'm receiving. And then on click, do exactly this. Okay, so set count, and this is the previous value basically. So let's actually just have it as prev state here, just so it's clear, and copy that and paste here, and this will be +1. Save that, and let's see if this thing actually works. So F5, let's see, and seems to be working fine. Okay, great. Let's now add the ability to reset the counter. So here in card, and you might want to try to do this yourself, see if you want a bit of an exercise. So basically we want to, let's see here, when we click this reset, we want this to be 0, right? So if you want to give it a whirl, go ahead. I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna pass here set count, control click reset button, and here on click, actually I'm not receiving here the prop, that's why I'm not getting the help I wanted from Codium. And this should actually do it just like so. Okay, so pretty simple. Let's see, refresh here. And there we go. Great. Okay. Let's now create a reusable button component. So instead of 2 buttons here, let's have 1. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of 1 button here. And let me actually rename this to count button, because it's just 1 button, and here and here. And I still want to get the set count here, but I also need to get the type. So is it increment or decrement? Okay, I don't care where I'm getting this from, I just know I will have it. I expect to have it. Okay, so on click here, I'm gonna actually just have a function name, which will be handle click. And for this sign here, basically, I'm gonna check for the type. So if type is decrement, then I'm gonna have minus, otherwise plus. Okay, so if else here, the ternary. And for handle click, let's define it. Function handle click. And let me just tab, because this is what I want. So if type is increment, we want set count previous count +1, decrement -1. And let's change this to prev count again, prev state actually, just so it's clear, but hopefully this is very understandable by now. Okay, so now in card, let me just have a look here. Okay, I'm exporting count button, not buttons. So let me actually change this to button and import it like so, get rid of this one. So this will be now also with the prop, with the type prop, right? So type decrement, shift all down, type increment. Okay. So we do have that, but now we're actually missing that container. So, I mean, we can have it here as well, but let's just have it as a component. So create that button container once again. Okay, so we are going a bit back and forth here, but the point is I want to show you multiple techniques, not just get the job done. Okay, so here is the container again, and once again this will actually have children and children here. And what was the deflex? Okay, so class name deflex, and here in the component get rid of that, and that should do it. Let's see, we have a bit of a problem here actually, closing curly brace. Okay, and now let's just wrap that here. So button container like so, cut and paste after, and let's see. Okay, great. So it looks the same, but does it actually work? Let's see. Seems to be working fine. And reset. Okay, it's all good. Let's now limit the counter, as it says right here, limit is 5. And change the subtitle accordingly, and also add an icon here for this reset so it looks a bit nicer. Okay, so to get started, in card here I'm gonna have actually, instead of a new state, I'm just gonna have a variable called locked, and that's gonna be equal to if count is 5, true, otherwise false. Okay, so this isn't a state variable, but I am using state here. Okay, that state value. So this is pretty cool. And now I want to pass this to the title. So locked, like so. Control click the title, receive that here. This will be locked. And now I want to change this text a bit, depending on what locked is. So let me actually tab here. This is fine. So if it is locked, I am going to say limit reached. Otherwise, let me copy and paste that to get rid of it here. Okay, so that should hopefully do it. Let's see. Refresh just to make sure it's all good. If I go up to 5, and there we go, limit reached. Okay. If I go down, this is back to 5 is the limit, which is fine for now. But we also want to disable the buttons if we actually reach 5. Okay. So in card here, I'm also gonna pass locked prop to these, like so. Save to format. And if I go to the button component now, first of all I need to get that locked prop in here as well. And now here I want to check, and let me wrap this in parentheses. Let me just do it like so, because I don't want to have that code. So if previous state plus 1 is greater than 5, then we want to have it as 5. Otherwise, increment by 1, right? So exactly that. So I just tabbed. And the same thing here. If it's less than 0, we want it to be locked at 0. Otherwise, decrement by 1, right? So now, if I go to 5 and keep clicking, nothing happens. If I go down to 0, keep clicking, nothing happens. Okay, great. But we also want to disable the buttons, which we can simply do by saying here disabled locked, just like so. So once again, let's refresh, and if I go up to 5, you can see the buttons are locked. Okay, and if I reset here, they are unlocked, but I can't go lower than 0, and again, if I go to 5, it gets locked. Okay, great. And finally, let's just add an icon for this reset so it looks nicer, and once again, If you remember from the previous part, I'm going to be using React icons, and you get access to all of these libraries basically, or whatever they're called. So for this one, I'm going to be using this Radix, but you still just install React icons. Okay, so Control J, and let me open a new terminal here and say npm I React icons. Okay, so in the reset button, I'm going to say here, and I know what I want, so I'm just gonna do it. Rx reset, like so. Okay, and I get the input here. So once again, guys, you just install React icons, and then you include that specific library, basically. So /rx for Radix, or /fa for font awesome, or whatever icon you want. So this is pretty cool. Let's have a look here, and there we go. Okay. The last thing I want to do is be able to increment this counter using the spacebar. Okay, so let's see how to do that. Here in the card component, I'm gonna use effect. Okay, so I'm gonna say use effect here, and I got the import right here, so make sure to get that, and let me just tab here. I'm gonna get rid of the body here, but I don't want to have the count here as a dependency, because I want this to trigger only when count changes. Okay, so I'm gonna say here const handle key down, and an arrow function pass the event here, and let me just tab and then see what I have. So if e, and I'm gonna say code here is space, and I just want the plus, so let me get rid of that, and exactly this. So up to 5, if it's over 5, we want it to be stuck at 5, right? So that's fine. That's the code we had already in the button component. And now let's add a listener for that. So window, add event listener, key down, handle key down, that's correct. And I also want to clean up. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna return an arrow function here, so just tab and remove event listener, key down, handle key down, when the component unmounts. Okay, if that's ever the case, but still. So let me actually just have some space here, like so. And that should actually do it for the most part. Let's see. If I have 5 here and now hit space, that's fine. But there's a bit of a problem that you see now. If I, let's say, hit space now, because I clicked here, we have a problem. It jumps twice and just goes crazy, basically. Okay, so the thing is that we need to blur after clicking. So we just need to blur on, let's say, count button on whenever this button is clicked. Okay. So here, I'm actually going to receive the event here. And again, guys, if you remember from before, even though I'm just specifying the name of the function here, I still get the event here. Okay, so I have it. So I'm going to say here E, and now current target, and I'm not getting any help for some reason, and blur, like so. So this is what I want. Okay, let's see if that helps. So now if I just hit space, it's fine, but let me refresh. If I click here and then hit space, now it's fine. Okay, seems to be working just fine. And we need the same to do the same for reset, because you see, if I click reset and then spacebar, it goes crazy. So in the reset button, I am now going to just have the name of the function here, so handle reset. Okay, and not there but in here, say function handle reset, set count 0, and also current target and blur, and the pass C here, and this can actually be handle click as well. Okay, so let's see now, refresh, and if I click here, space OK, and if I press reset and space again, it's fine, and reset and just click, it's all good. Okay, great. So that's gonna be it for this project. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.